This is the Dick and Conversation podcast. I'm Elissa, and if this is your first time seeing me, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have been viewing this for a while or listening to me on Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, or Spotify, welcome back. If you've been watching me on the YouTube, welcome back again. My socials are Facebook page, Dick and Conversation Podcast. My YouTube is my YouTube channel, Dick and Conversation Podcast. My Instagram is Dick and Conversation underscore podcast. My Blue Sky, because remember we left X Twitter or whatever that was. Twitter X. We left. We are all over on Blue Sky. It is now Dick and Convo bsky.social, and my email is dickandconvo@gmail.com. I'm glad you guys are here to join me. I know in the last episode, because it's been in like a couple weeks. Has it been a couple weeks? Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. On the last episode, I said I was going to try to see if I can get my mom to come on, and I asked her, "Mom, you want to be on the podcast?" She's like, "Be on your podcast?" No. she, she said no, no, no with the quickness. So I respect that. Here's the thing I'm learning to do. This hair is driving me crazy. So if you see me moving it around, trying to figure out what it's going to look like. But anyway, um, I'm trying to get my mom to be on the podcast, and she's like, no. And that's fine. I'm learning to respect the boundaries of others. You know why? Because I want others to respect my boundaries. Um, it's just a thing that I'm learning to do more so in my 50s. Sometimes we have lived a little life. Those of us above 40 have lived a little life. We want to give some advice or some recommendations of how we think life could be better or how we can um, improve or enhance someone else's life just because we've lived a little life. But if they don't want it, then respect their boundary. I'm even doing that with my kids, and they're 18. And I know they don't know what I know. So I'm learning to respect the boundaries of my mom as well as my children. So tonight's episode, I'm going against my number one rule of recording my podcast, and that is never record when you're emotional. So, I'm a little emotional now. Some things rolling around in my head. I was a little pissed earlier about a situation. Talk to some friends, talk to some families, calm down a little bit. But I'm not going to talk about what got me emotional. All I'm saying is, I once read this on social media, or maybe I heard it in church. I don't know. Either way, it's a good saying. A lie is a lie, even if everyone believes it. And the truth is the truth, even if no one believes it. So that's something I've been battling with for shit, a couple of years. I've been battling with that kind of situation for a couple of years now, but I woosah and I'm good and I'm okay now. So that's not what I want to talk about. But what I do want to talk about is growth and how I've grown. And hopefully you all have grown. And if you haven't, then you will grow, or you're in your moment of growth, you're in your growing pains and things like that. Particularly about when you were a certain way or had done certain things, or you had that little, what I could like to call a whole phase. Yeah, it's gonna be that episode. So I'm about to talk about my little whole phase I went through, which I don't know if everybody goes through it. I was once told by a young man when I was working, this kid was like 10 years younger than me. He wasn't a kid, he was a grown man. And I was in my little wild child trying to get into my whole phase. And he said, "Listen, you're really not this person." And I felt not offended, but I was taken aback. Like, I'm not that person and I'm having a ball. I'm having the time of my life. And he said, "You're not this person. Listen, you're really just, you're wife material. You're at home. You're the type to stay at home and, be with your husband, partner, that one woman, one woman, one man woman." Is that right? Yeah, one man, woman. He said that's who you really are. And once you get this out your system, then you'll return back to who you are. And I didn't quite believe him because I thought, like, I'm older. I know, and like I say, I was having the time of my life. But he says, once you get this out your system, Lissa, you'll return back to who you were, and then you'll be different. And I thought, okay, well, yeah. Well, that time has come. But I will say this. When I was in my little wild child whole phase, I was having a good time. Now, what brought it about was the divorce. Of course, I don't know if any other woman had this moment. I do know a couple women that I do know who went through a divorce, and as soon as that divorce happened, they hit their little whole face. Hit the little whole face. Now, let me explain to you the mentality of it. When you have a life partner, your husband, your long-term love, your person who you've been with for this long period of time, and it comes to an end, you feel rejected. You feel you're not worthy. You feel you're not beautiful. You're not sexy. You're not smart. All the insecurities that you have just jump on steroids and they multiply. And then new insecurities come with it. So once you get past that phase where you get a little attention from, out in the streets and out in this and the other, you start going like, oh, well, hell, I'm cute. I'm sexy. I can have a little fun. And you start to have a little fun. And as I've told on previous episodes, my first husband was my second boyfriend. So I hadn't had a lot of experience dating a lot of men. And I'm here to tell you, when I hit that little phase, I made up for that. So at one point I was just, not reckless now. These are people that I did know. But it was nothing for me to just be out. Like how these young folks say, outside. I'm in the street. I was outside. It wasn't nothing for somebody to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, be like, "Hey, listen, you want to go meet for a drink?" Like, hell yeah, I'll see you there. Or you got your kids tonight? Hell no, come on through. I went through that little phase where I had my little blindfolds and handcuffs and whips and stuff. Some of that, you know what? I can't find some of that. That goes to show what happens when you settle down. So about, I guess 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago. I kind of settled down a little bit. Like, okay, I settled down a lot bit. Where I found someone, I said, okay, I want to put a little energy into this and hang out over here. And, everybody else I had to tell farewell, goodbye. We had a good time. We had a ball. But I think I want to kind of like dedicate a little energy over here. And there's nothing wrong with that. So that's why I'm saying this. If you're in that phase of your life, or you've been through that phase of your life, or you're about to go into that phase of your life, I've been there. And no, you're not crazy. And yes, it's gonna be fun for a little bit. And I mean, it was fun where I could smell a man's cologne and just be like, "Oh, where he at? Where he at? Who is he?" But I've since gotten out of that and has settled down and focused on being a mom and a woman and my career and a better Christian. Yes, I was a Christian even in my whole phase. I was like, Lord, forgive me. I was pre-gaming my sins. Like, Lord, forgive me what I'm about to do. Lord, forgive me what I done. So I was like praying, still being that Christian. But after a while, I kind of settled down. Well, in the process of settling down, the quarantine and all that stuff kind of helped out a lot because everybody was inside. So you couldn't really be outside at the club, at the bar, meet somebody, hanging out with friends. And I also relocated to another city, which that also helped too because I can't lie, my hometown, I was showing my ass. But respectfully, I was keeping my dirt clean. But not so clean to the point where if someone dies in my hometown and I go home to visit, I could easily walk into a room or a funeral where I go like, "Oh, I messed with him. I used to hang with him. Did I hang with him? Yeah, I used to like him. He was handsome. I used to talk to him, but nothing happened." So that could easily happen when you're from a small city. All it takes is one death or a graduation or a birthday party or a cabaret or something of that nature. You can walk in and you're meeting with the ghost of your past decisions. I'm saying all this to say I've grown and I've changed. And although I think the relocation and the quarantine has moved me away, I've changed. I've settled down and matured. I mean, I was late 30s, 40s when I was cutting up. Well, I'm in my 50s now. So I have, become a elder of society and a grown lady and my grown woman. And I don't even have the energy to do the things that I used to do long ago. Problem is sometimes people won't let you grow. They want you to still be who you are. Um, they want you to still be that girl that come out at, 1 in the morning for a drink, or, can I swing by at midnight? And I'm not her. At midnight, baby, I'm in the bed, maybe on TikTok, maybe watching Sports Center, maybe on YouTube, maybe reading a Bible plan on my Bible app. I'm not that girl anymore not that girl, hell, that woman. I ain't been a girl in a long time. I'm not that woman anymore who loves to turn up and turn out and turn in and turn down. Okay, I have to tell you all this. The reason why I laugh when I'm recording my podcast, memories flood. And you all are seeing the result of my inside thoughts of memories, flashbacks. Told you all about I woke up and dude was looking at that wall. And if you don't know that story, go back to the last episode because that's a really good story. I haven't even told all of the greatest stories about hanging out with him. He was a nice guy, but mean. I know that sounds like an oxymoron. He had a good spirit, but he was mean all the time. But still, that was during my whole phase, my whole days, where it was just like me trying to find my footing. I remember once, I was having a conversation with a young man that I ended up dating, and he said, "What are you looking for?" And I questioned, like, "What are you looking for?" I told him, "I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find myself." My tailspin after my divorce lasted about a decade. Maybe a little longer, maybe a decade and some change, where you try to figure out what's next with your life as a woman, not being someone's partner, but who are you as a person? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to do? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? What do you want to spend your time on? Where do you want to grow? What are your regrets that you don't want to do again? What are your regrets that you haven't done and you want to do again? I had a conversation with my son, who's like this wise old man that I occasionally love having these deep conversations with. And I told him the reason why I was so emotional when they graduated, I was like, I feel like that's the end of my to-do list in life. Now, hang with me if you can. Um, I have had an extraordinary life. A man once told me that I guess you just had an extraordinary life. I really have had an extraordinary life where right now the only thing I still have left to do is to travel. So there were things I wanted to do in life and I learned I kind of accomplished them. I wanted to get married. I got married. I wanted to learn how to play the piano. I learned to play the piano. I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I learned how to ride a motorcycle. Um, I wanted to be a mom, and I was a mom, and I raised a mom, and I had a few little extra things in there that came along in life where I swam with stingrays. I went on a cruise. I went to a foreign country. And after my kids graduated, I went like, okay, what do I do now? Like I got promoted in the company. I was a trainer, I was a teacher, I got my degrees, and I was in the church, I was in the choir at the church, and I was the choir president, and I've been an usher, and I've been a nurse, and I've been a pastor's assistant, and on the board, and Sunday school teacher. What else is there to do? So when the kids graduated, it was like, well, what do I have to do now? What's left? I felt like, okay, what's left? So I was so emotional about one, my baby's graduating from high school, and two, there's like the end of, not the end of my life, but the end of a lot of the things that I wanted to do before, leaving here. Right now, I just have a bucket list of places I want to go. And I do want to do 5 minutes as a stand up comedian before I die. Because I've had a bunch of people tell me, oh, listen, just do 5 minutes. Check it off my bucket list. I want to do that. But it's still growth in me. I want to be able to pick my battles, which, you know, I'm getting there. I want to be able to, with ease, pick my battles because I'm not at the point where I go like, okay, I'm not gonna pick that battle. Every battle is a war. So every battle is a war. And trust me, I'm gonna pull exhibit A through Z to try to win my war. Which exhibit A through Z is always a screenshot or a message or some text message or some video or picture, something. And I probably need to learn to let things go. Not there yet. Put me on your prayer list so that I can get there. Because I'm not there yet. But I'm glad I made it through my whole phase. Looking back at it, I have mementos. Like there are songs that I listen to and it'll trigger a memory. There's this song by Eugene Wild. I think it's Eugene Wild. And every time I hear this song or this James Ingram, Patty Austin song, um, the duet they made together, and this particular Luther song, it triggers a memory of my whole days where I was hanging with a guy and he was he was like MacGyver. I watched this dude make a ashtray out of a envelope and then aluminum foil or something, roll a joint, and smoke off a cartridge pen. I was so impressed. That was in the middle of my whole face. But I have triggers, and I have a memento of his hat. I have one of his hats that he left. Now, in all honesty, I really should throw the hat away. I don't wear the hat, and why am I still holding on to this man's hat? I don't know. I guess it's a little trophy. That sounds like a serial killer type stuff, but I mean, it's kind of is, just another time, another era, another person. Or I keep socks, t-shirts, um, text messages, smells, their cologne, certain songs, and it takes me back to what the hell was I doing? It was just, like I say, not reckless, but a little careless, more than what I had ever been in my life, because I had been a very predictable woman, young lady, girl. I did what was expected because my parents ain't play that. And I did what was expected in the workplace because my bosses didn't play that. And I did what was right pretty much by my kids most of the time because, my kids ain't play that. But when that was in that little whole phase, I was keeping my dirt clean. Nobody knew what was all going on. My little rotation was rotating, and I thought that everybody had a rotation going because my rotation was rotating, and then I settled down. But every now and again, I have those people who come from the past who still want to, like, hey, reach out, talk, let's get together, and I'm just not interested. It's nothing against them. They were great in the past, but I'm not her. So when you heard the story of me with the do some dude with the dog collar and the the leash, the blindfold, jeez, that's still a good time in Chicago. That was great. That was a great ass time. I'm not her. So it would be very, very difficult now for a man to convince me to um put on a dog collar and a leash and blindfold and all the stuff that I had done in the past when I was in my whole days. My whole days. Doing whole things. Um, I'm not her. So I'm telling this in this episode so that everyone can understand that when you're um, out of your phase, whatever phase it is that you've grown out of, and you're not that person anymore, don't allow anyone to pull you back into it, especially if you don't want to go. If you don't want to be that person, you don't identify with that person, you don't want to do the things you used to do, you don't want to say the things you used to say, you don't want to drink the things you used to do or smoke the things you used to smoke or be around the people you used to be around. It's okay. That's growth. That's maturing. And maturing is not necessarily just getting older, because I know some old bras that's acting a fool. They old. They old as hell. But they're very immature. And I make a joke every now and again. People say, oh, Alyssa, you don't look like you're 50 something. No, I'm just very immature for my age. But I have grown. I've grown out of that phase of woohoo, let's go drink, let's go hang out. Even my best friends, I have best friends that I do girl trips with. Hey, Kimberly, Shannon, and Erica. I need to do an episode on my best friends because to look at us on paper, we don't go together, but we blend perfectly. But even they have changed from how they were when I met them. They were all 20 something. I was in my 30s, maybe 40s. And they're now settled down. Their wives, their mothers, career women. And um, I'm not. I'm not that wow woo woo. They're not that wow woo woo. We've gotten older. Our conversations have changed. Before it used to be about, oh my God, what can we do to make our boobs look bigger? And what can we this guy that we're dating, oh, you need to dump him. And that's not who we were. That's who we were, but that's not who we are. Now it's more about home life and getting older and health and work and children, child rearing and pets, the dogs, and walking and healthy and being healthy and all those things. So as relationships change, or as you change, relationships change. And those that I formulated over in my whole phase with the Heaux Daze, I'm still friends with them. I'm not their enemy, but I'm not that girl anymore. I can't do that, nor do I want to. And it's okay. So, you in your whole phase, have a good time. When you get out your whole phase, make sure people know I'm not her anymore. This has been my episode of Dick and Conversation. I'm Elissa. Thank you for listening to me on Amazon, iHeart, Pandora, or Spotify. And if you've been watching me on YouTube, just like, subscribe, share. I always forget that. Like, subscribe, share. Share. I'm not doing the whole monetization yet. I got to get more consistent and I'll get there. But still, I want to grow my viewership. So, like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. My socials are Facebook, Dick and Conversation Podcast Facebook page. My YouTube channel is Dick and Conversation Podcast. My Instagram is Dick and Conversation underscore podcast. My Blue Sky, because we're not on Twitter. We in Blue Sky. I keep saying it. It's Dick and Convo dot bsky dot social, and my email is dickandconvo at gmail.com. Once again, I'm Elissa, and I'll see you next time.